Forgiveness. It's a word thrown around casually, yet its depth is often overlooked. We hear it in conversations, see it in movies, and read about it in books. But do we truly understand what it means to forgive? In a world obsessed with justice, demanding retribution for every wrong, forgiveness stands as a radical act. It goes against the grain of our natural instincts, which often cry out for revenge or at least some form of payback. It's choosing to release someone from the debt of their offense, to no longer hold their actions against them. This release is not just for the benefit of the offender, but also for the one who forgives. This isn't about condoning their behavior or pretending it didn't hurt. The pain is real, and the hurt is valid. Forgiveness acknowledges the reality of the offense and the impact it has had on us. It's about choosing to break free from the chains of bitterness that bind us to the past. Bitterness can be like a poison, slowly eating away at our peace and joy. Forgiveness is the antidote that sets us free. The Bible speaks extensively about forgiveness, not as an optional extra for the spiritually inclined, but as a fundamental aspect of the Christian faith. It is a commandment, a directive from God, who knows that forgiveness is essential for our spiritual health and well-being. It's woven into the very fabric of our relationship with God and with one another. Without forgiveness, relationships cannot thrive. They become weighed down by grudges and unresolved conflicts. When we understand forgiveness, we begin to grasp the boundless grace and mercy extended to us through Jesus Christ. His sacrifice on the cross is the ultimate act of forgiveness, offering us a model to follow. Forgiveness isn't a sign of weakness, but an act of incredible strength. It takes courage to face the pain and choose to let it go. It takes strength to rise above the desire for retribution and extend grace instead. It requires acknowledging the pain inflicted upon us, wrestling with the raw emotions it evokes, and then, with God's help, choosing to let go. This process can be long and arduous, but it is ultimately liberating. It's a process, not a switch to be flipped on and off at will. Forgiveness often involves a journey of healing, where we gradually release the hold that the offense has on us. It's a journey that leads us toward healing and wholeness. As we forgive, we find that we are not only setting the offender free, but also freeing ourselves from the burden of carrying the past into our present and future. Sometimes forgiveness involves a tangible act, like writing a letter to the person who hurt us, even if we never send it. This act can help us articulate our feelings and begin the process of letting go. In other cases, it might involve seeking support from a community or a therapist to help us navigate the complex emotions involved in forgiveness. Prayer can also be a powerful tool in the process of forgiveness. Asking God for the strength to forgive can provide us with the grace we need to move forward. Ultimately, forgiveness is about new beginnings. It's about releasing the past and stepping into a future unburdened by old wounds. It's about embracing the freedom that comes from letting go and allowing ourselves to heal. When we forgive, we open the door to joy, peace, and a deeper connection with others and with God. Forgiveness is not just a gift we give to others, it's a gift we give to ourselves. So what is forgiveness? It's a profound act of grace, a journey of healing, and a testament to the strength of the human spirit. It's a choice that can transform our lives and our relationships, bringing us closer to the heart of God and to one another. Why forgive? It's a question that naturally arises when we've been wronged. The pain can be so intense that it feels like a physical wound, and the emotional scars can linger for a long time. The pain feels raw, the injustice stings, and the desire for retaliation can be overwhelming. We might feel that holding on to our anger and resentment is a way to protect ourselves from further harm. Yet the Bible urges us to forgive, not for the sake of the offender, but for our own well-being. Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves, a way to reclaim our peace and joy. Unforgiveness, we're told, is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It consumes us from the inside, affecting our mental, emotional, and even physical health. It keeps us tethered to the hurt, allowing it to fester and poison our hearts. The longer we hold on to it, the more it grows, like a toxic plant taking root in our soul. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is an act of liberation. It is a conscious decision to let go of the burden of anger and resentment, to free ourselves from the chains that bind us. It sets us free from the prison of resentment and bitterness, allowing us to experience true emotional and spiritual healing. When we forgive, we are not condoning the wrong that was done to us, but we are choosing to release its hold on our lives. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened or minimizing the wrong. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past, but about transforming our relationship with it. It simply means releasing the offender from our judgment and choosing to move forward. It is an act of grace, a way to reclaim our power and our peace. When we forgive, we open ourselves up to experience the fullness of God's love and grace. We allow ourselves to be vessels of His compassion and mercy, to be channels of His healing and peace. We begin to see ourselves and others through the lens of compassion and understanding. We recognize that we are all human, all flawed, all in need of grace. This doesn't mean we become doormats or tolerate abuse. Forgiveness is not about allowing others to harm us, but about setting healthy boundaries and standing up for ourselves with dignity and respect. It means we choose to respond to hurt with love, recognizing that everyone makes mistakes and that we too need forgiveness. In forgiving others, we also forgive ourselves, and we open the door to a life of greater peace, joy, and freedom. Forgiveness is often easier said than done. We may intellectually understand its importance, yet struggle to put it into practice. Why is it so hard to forgive? Perhaps it's the fear of appearing weak or letting the offender off the hook. Maybe it's the pain that feels too raw, the wound too deep to even contemplate forgiveness. Our struggle to forgive often stems from a misunderstanding of its nature. We may equate it with condoning the offense or minimizing the harm it caused. We may believe that forgiveness requires us to forget what happened or reconcile with the offender, which may not always be safe or possible. Sometimes our resistance to forgiveness is rooted in our own pride. We may hold on to our anger and resentment, believing we have the right to withhold forgiveness until the offender has sufficiently atoned for their actions. We may even derive a sense of self-righteousness from our anger, failing to recognize our own need for forgiveness. Section 4. The weight of bitterness, unforgiveness's toll. The consequences of unforgiveness can be far-reaching, impacting our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. It's like carrying a heavy weight on our shoulders, weighing us down and preventing us from experiencing the fullness of life. Unforgiveness can manifest in a variety of ways, from bitterness and resentment to anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments. When we harbor unforgiveness, we allow the offense to define us. We become trapped in a cycle of negativity, replaying the hurt over and over in our minds. This not only robs us of joy and peace, but can also damage our relationships with others. We may find it difficult to trust, to love, and to experience genuine intimacy. Unforgiveness also creates a barrier between us and God. When we cling to our anger and resentment, we close our hearts to His love and grace. We may even begin to doubt His goodness and mercy, questioning His willingness to forgive us for our own shortcomings. Section 5. Releasing the debt forgiveness in action. What does forgiveness look like in practice? It's a question that many of us grapple with, especially when the wounds are deep and the pain is fresh. It's not a one-time event, but rather a process that requires ongoing effort and God's grace. Forgiveness is a journey, often a long and winding one, that we must embark on with intention and faith. It begins with acknowledging the hurt and the anger we feel, bringing them before God in prayer. This step is crucial because it allows us to confront our emotions honestly and seek divine assistance in dealing with them. It's admitting our need for healing and asking Him to soften our hearts. We must recognize that our hearts can become hardened by pain and resentment, and only through God's grace can they be softened and made whole again. Forgiveness involves making a conscious choice to release the offender from the debt of their offense. This decision is not about excusing their behavior, but about freeing ourselves from the chains of bitterness and anger. This doesn't mean condoning their actions or pretending we weren't hurt. It's important to acknowledge the reality of the pain and the injustice we experienced. It simply means choosing to no longer hold their actions against them. By doing so, we release the burden of carrying that pain and allow ourselves to move forward. It's acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes and that we, too, are in need of forgiveness. This perspective helps us to see the humanity in others and in ourselves, fostering a sense of compassion and understanding. Forgiveness is an act of the will, not of the emotions. It's a deliberate choice we make, often in spite of our feelings, to let go of resentment and seek peace. We may not feel like forgiving, especially in the immediate aftermath of a hurt. Our emotions can be powerful and overwhelming, making it difficult to even consider forgiveness. Yet we can choose to forgive as an act of obedience to God, trusting that He will honor our decision and bring healing to our hearts in His time. This trust in God's timing and His ability to heal us is a vital component of the forgiveness process. As we continue on this journey, we may find that forgiveness becomes easier with time and practice. Each step we take in faith brings us closer to the peace and freedom that forgiveness offers. Forgiveness is not just about the past, it's about creating a brighter future. By letting go of the past, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and a renewed sense of hope. Ultimately, forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. It liberates us from the chains of anger and bitterness, allowing us to experience true joy and peace. So let us embrace the journey of forgiveness, trusting in God's grace to guide us and heal us along the way. In doing so, we not only find freedom for ourselves, but also extend that same grace to others. Remember, forgiveness is a reflection of God's love and mercy. As we forgive, we mirror His divine nature and draw closer to Him. Let us strive to live out forgiveness in our daily lives, fostering a spirit of reconciliation and unity in our relationships and communities. Trust in God's plan for your life, knowing that He is with you every step of the way. With His help, we can overcome the pain of the past and embrace a future filled with hope and healing. Forgiveness is not the end of the story, but the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter filled with grace, healing, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. We encourage you to practice forgiveness in your daily lives. Share your experiences and stories in the comments below. Your journey can inspire and help others on their path to forgiveness.